Hey guys, what's up? This is C-Jack Podcast, and this is your host C-Jack. I got my buddy John here. He's going to chime in from time to time. We're going to pick his brain a little bit. He's on here to just kind of spew some bullshit with me. Before we get into the thick of things and all that bullshit, I'm going to tell you guys something that's really kind of chipping my ass right now. I'm a member of Gamefly. I've been a member for a while. Not trying to promote them or anything, but I ended up getting Mortal Kombat X through the mail. And I played it earlier when they first announced, that Jason was going to be one of the DLC characters and everything. I played some Jason. Never really played the story mode. Well, I went ahead and rented it again. I know I'm talking about a game that's probably like fucking 2 years old, but whatever. You downloaded it, you're going to listen to it. So I get the game, stick it in the disc tray, install it on the PS4 or whatever, and it has like a 10 gigabyte update. Didn't really bother me at all. The updates now are, freaking anywhere from 10 to 50 gigs long. I mean, remember Batman Arkham Knight? So I get this game, put it in there, it installs everything. I get ready to start the game and play the story mode. Well, story mode's still, redded out. It won't let you even go scroll over it. Story mode and online both. So I'm like, all right, well, maybe it's like one of those normal games where it's just got to update while you're playing it, whatever. So I play a few, just exhibition fights and shit. And I'm going to sit here playing this goddamn game for about 3 hours long, just exhibition fights and shit. And these goddamn bullshit and story mode and the online mode never fucking unlock for me. So I get on the little Google machine there and I'm like, trouble playing Mortal Kombat X story mode, and I'm typing it in, and seems like I'm not the only cat with this problem. Seems like a lot of other people have had this problem. So I'm reading some shit, and basically what it tells me is that I've got to take the damn disc out, delete everything, and try it all again. Like I said, this game's been out for about 2 years. You'd think them motherfucker producers would have got on there and patched this shit up. They think they would have known this, because I'm looking at the reviews, and these reviews are like 2 years old. People having these problems 2 years ago. You would have think they would have had this bullshit patched up. So I went ahead and did it. As of right now, I'm still waiting on the extra install, download, whatever. But as of when I left my house today, it wasn't letting me play the story mode. So I think Mortal Kombat X story mode is probably one of the few games I'm not actually going to be able to play. And that kind of chaps my ass just because I was kind of hoping that it was a good story mode, and Mortal Kombat's kind of one of those games where I get around to eventually, and sometimes the story mode's alright, sometimes it sucks, but whatever. It's just one of those things. I was wanting to get some extra trophies, get some extra bullshit in, and fuck around on it a little bit, but evidently, this goddamn game don't want me to play it. So I think I'm probably, Monday morning comes around, I'm going to throw that shit back in the mail and tell them to send me something else. Maybe get on a little Gamefly review site and just tell them their game's a piece of shit. And we'll see what goes from there. Yeah, have you ever tried playing this game, John?
Never. I'm more GTA.
GTA? That's a good game. They're still doing a lot of good shit with that game.
Oh yeah, there's always updates.
Yeah. Alright, well, I just kind of figured I'd let you chime in and see if you ever had that game. You play on Xbox though, right?
Yeah, no, I got Xbox One and PS4.
Oh, so you do play on both?
Yeah, but I mean, I'm more Xbox.
Alright. That's all cool. We're all friends here. I ain't gonna hate on your Xbox game. I can't say too much. I ended up picking up an Xbox One about a month ago for about $100. I can't knock it. There's a lot of things I do prefer the PS4 to me, it just seems like a lot of the games have better graphics on the PS4.
Yeah,
and Xbox One games, like exclusive Xbox One games, I'm going to be honest, it looks like graphics are shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like, the only reason I did get the PS4 was for Uncharted.
A good game right there, good game. Have you played the Lost Legacy game?
No, I haven't yet. I want to, but I haven't yet.
Well, I have, and these people listening to this podcast right now, they heard my review on it, and it's a pretty damn good game. You should go pick it up. And although they don't have Sully and Sam clear through the game, and they didn't actually follow Sully and Sam like they thought, like everybody expected them to, Chloe and Nadine. I was wanting to call her Natalia for some reason. Chloe and Nadine, they actually do. They make a pretty unlikely pair, and there's a lot of chemistry between them, and there's a lot of bad blood there at certain points. You can really feel the tension between the two characters if you're playing, and there's some tension there. It's a pretty good game. You should pick it up. It's not very long. It's only 9 chapters long.
Yeah. Well, they don't have Drake in there, do they?
Nathan?
Yeah, Nathan.
No, Nathan is unfortunately not in this game, and
I didn't think so.
That's one of the few things that made me kind of hesitant on picking it up. I just went ahead and rented it, and I picked it, and I mean, I liked it. And there is a certain point where there's a nice open world part. I think it's like toward the middle of the game where you can go around and you can do some extra shit, which is kind of cool to have in a strictly story-based game where they do throw that little part where, hey, you're kind of in an more open world environment. There's more different ways you can go about doing stuff, so it adds a little bit of extra replay value to it. Very, very, very well done, and for being a shorter game and kind of an expansion onto the Uncharted 4 game. They did a very good job on it, and graphics are pretty amazing on it, which we've come to expect from the Uncharted games.
Right. Are you into sport games?
No, I can't really say I'm very much into the sport games. The only ones I really tinker with is like I do some of the UFC games and the wrestling games, of course.
Well, I'm waiting for the NBA 2K18. It looks really good. All the trailers look pretty good, and they got like an open world now for the My Park.
See, here's the thing with 2K. We know 2K can do good shit. We've seen it through the NBA games throughout time. NBA can do really great graphics and everything like that. The only thing that I ain't figured out is if they put out these basketball games every year with these amazing graphics, looks damn near realistic. Sometimes they may have a little bit of bugs at first, but they eventually get them all worked out because they know they've got players playing these. But if they can do that for the NBA games, why can't 2K turn around and do that for the wrestling games that they're now making? That's the only thing that I can't figure out is if they can do all this amazing graphics and amazing stuff with the NBA 2K games, how come we can't have the same results for the WWE wrestling 2K games? It's the same company making them. I mean, obviously it's going to be different teams, but you're still going to have the same base company making these games.
The only thing I can really think of would be... I mean, I don't know if I'm not really into wrestling games, but like I'm into UFC, but they probably don't have a lot of people play the WWE games as they do in 2K18. They'll have a lot of players, so I mean they probably amp it up a little bit more.
Well, see, and that's the thing is you wouldn't think so,
right.
But over the years WWE is getting a bigger following as far as the gaming goes. As far as the product. WWE's kind of slimming down as far as fans and everything. It used to be for the WWE, as far as the company, their base range was 18 to 34, and the median and that was males. And their median was normally like 20, 22, 23. Well, now their base is all the way from like 8 kids to 34. But the median age for a WWE or wrestling fan now is 52. That means that WWE or wrestling, and when I talk about wrestling, I'm mainly talking about WWE here because they are the flagship company, and everybody looks at WWE as far as the wrestling company. That means that the medium age for a fan is 52. That basically just means they're not picking up new fans. All their fans are dying off.
Right.
Which is I see it as a problem, which I'm sure that might result into something I'm going to kind of segue into here, which I want to talk to these guys about, is they're doing a lot of price cut, budget cuts and everything. They've cut out the pyro for the shows. They're really cutting back on the shows that are releasing on this network. And part of the reason why they do this is because they keep shoving this goddamn 205 Live down everybody's throats. Which I don't know if you know what 205 Live is. 205 Live is basically the Cruiserweight division. They have their own show now. Which all the people listening to my podcast know, but you're not a real big wrestling fan.
Right.
I'm kind of explain this to you, and for the people that may not know, Raw is now a 3-hour show. It used to be a 2-hour show. I'm sure it was a 2-hour show when you watched it. Raw is now a 3-hour show, which can be a little extensive sometimes. It's hard to fill an extra hour every single week. I know back in the day, I'm sure when you watch it, they'd do, periodically they'd do it like, oh, well, this is a special like Slammy Awards 3-hour show, or like a 15th anniversary 3-hour show. It wasn't every week. When you do like 3 or 4 3-hour shows a year, then it's a little bit easier to keep people entertained for 3 hours, 4 or 5 times a year, or however, just periodically, instead of doing it every single week like they are now. Now they don't ever, have like that. They'll if they do a special episode, they'll say it's going to be a special episode, but it doesn't get any extended time slot or anything like that. They just kind of promote it, And now they're faced with this thing to where they have to try to create an extra hour of TV every single week for fans. Well, they're doing this, and they brought back the Cruiserweights just this last year. I think they've been back for maybe about a year, maybe a little less. I think it was like last July, so probably about a year. And they brought back the Cruiserweights, which a Cruiserweight division was one I really liked growing up, as a kid. Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, just to name a couple. I don't really want to mention him, but I'm going to. Chris Benoit. I know there's a lot of controversy with me mentioning his name, but I don't condone any of his actions of what he did there at the end. But I can't take any credit away from him as a wrestler.
Right.
And he was still a very great wrestler. I know I'm going to get a lot of shit for this, but throw all the shit you want at me. You can't deny he was a great wrestler. So just, we had these great cruiserweights in there, and Chavo Guerrero, just to name another one. And I'm just kind of saying these as they come to my mind. We had these great cruiserweights before, and then they kind of did away with the Cruiserweight Championship, and now you had Rey Mysterio, Eddie Guerrero, and everybody trying to go after the big WWE World Heavyweight Champion, which the likes of like Triple H, The Rock, Stone Cold, all the bigger guys were going for. And I mean, not to take anything away from Rey Mysterio, because Rey Mysterio is a phenomenal competitor in his own right. And I'm not trying to throw that word phenomenal around, but he just is. Rey Mysterio, he's got God's gifted talent, as well as you see very few times. There's very few wrestlers that have the kind of talent Rey Mysterio has, and littler guys like him were forced to compete against these bigger guys, which is fine. And but now you've taken the Cruiserweight Championship away from them, which you've taken a championship that had a good build and a good following behind, and you take that away. And then eventually a lot of the smaller wrestlers get away with. And they just started letting smaller wrestlers become big names. Rey Mysterio, he was a big name, but he was never, the made man, if you will, in WWE. The first littler made man I can really think of that actually was on top, and they let stay on top for a little while, clear up until he was forced to retire, is Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan was on top, and he retired on top. He didn't have a very long WWE career, unfortunately, because of all the years he spent in the independent scene, I'm sure, as everybody knows. But he's trying to work on a comeback, but they're not sure whether or not he's going to be able to. And if WWE does not let him come back as a wrestler, he will probably be looking at leaving the company to go wrestle in gymnasiums or on the independent scene, maybe Ring of Honor, anything just so he can wrestle again. He loves to wrestle. And that's what most of these performers love to do. They love to wrestle.
Right.
And but I'm kind of getting off topic there. Basically, what I'm trying to say is they brought back the Cruiserweight division. They did a Cruiserweight Classic probably about a year and a half ago. I want to say it may have been just a little over a year ago. May not quite be a year and a half. I'm not real 100% sure on all my dates and everything because shit just kind of runs together for me. But they did a Cruiserweight Classic bracket where they had the best cruiserweights in the world as wrestlers compete in this tournament. And they actually took like the kind of choreographed element out of it. Yes, it was still the choreographed and staged, if you will, setup as normal. Like they knew, as in, you know, before they went out, they said, okay, you're just for instance, we're gonna say, okay, I don't know if it actually happened or not. I can't remember all the matches, but for instance, they're going to be like, okay, well, Rich Swann, you're going to put Brian Kendrick over. You know, I everybody that listens to this podcast, I'm sure, knows who those two guys are. Brian Kendrick has been around for a while, and Rich Swann's been on the top for a while. So, for instance, they said something like that, and the two guys went out there, tore the fucking house down, and, you know, Brian Kendrick, you know, went over. And Rich Swann was eliminated, and Brian Kendrick moved on. Now, I'm actually backwards on that. Like, I know that didn't actually happen, but that was just a suggestion because I actually know Rich Swann kind of went into part of the finals. But that was just an example. I'm not saying that actually happened, just to clarify for all you guys listening. But then after that, they brought back the winner of the Cruiserweight Classic that they had exclusively on the WWE Network. They took that, and the winner of that got a championship along with the trophy, and they were the Cruiserweight Division champion, which in the end ended up being T.J. Perkins. A lot of you guys may know him now as TJP, and for those of you that followed TNA back in the day, he was actually the original Suicide, and the mask and everything. So he won the Cruiserweight Championship, and then after a while, Raw announced that there's going to be a show following SmackDown on the WWE Network called 205 Live. And basically, it's the Cruiserweight division gets their own 1-hour show. My personal beef with this is, and my personal rant that I've continued, and now I'm almost 20 minutes into this fucking rant. But, my thing is you have 3 hours of Raw. You can't even fucking cover every week and keep entertaining. Now you've got this extra hour of show that you're throwing on after SmackDown Live on the WWE Network. The 205 Live performers or talent is going out there and performing after the SmackDown guys get done. So after they tape the SmackDown show and the SmackDown show ends on USA Network, they change the ring gear and everything. I'm sure they have an intermission for the live, the live crowd or whatever. And then they come back, the rings change and everything for the Cruiserweights, and now you have another hour of wrestling that's going to be going on. So now, not only on Monday nights do you have the crowd that's sitting there for 3 hours of fucking TV, but you also have the SmackDown crowd sitting there for 3 hours of fucking TV. Granted, they're not all the same show for the SmackDown crowd, but it's still 3 hours of, both for both crowds. And I don't know about you, but for me, I'd be okay with sitting there for a 2-hour show.
Right, yeah.
Sitting there for a 3-hour show is starting to get a little long. It's starting to get I'm going to start being tired. I'm not going to be as invested in the Cruiserweights as I was in the SmackDown talent, and so on and so forth. So basically what they need to do, and they won't do, and why they won't do, I don't know. Just McMahon just decides, oh, well, we can't cancel 205 Live. We're going to keep this son of a bitch running. But all the good, entertaining shows that they had on, they had one called Swerved. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. But it was basically the producers of Jackass, the TV show, and stuff, the guys that was behind that. They teamed up with WWE, and they had the WWE talent going around and pranking, normal life people, everyday people. They were dressed up in disguises, prank each other. It was actually a very funny, very entertaining show. I was very entertained with it, and millions of other people were as well. And then they had this other show called Ride Along that they had out, and basically what this show was they they would pair these two guys up, and they would have them travel, within driving distance from one city to another where their next live event was, and they would film, these guys while they're driving, and kind of the bantering back and forth that goes between them, and that was a very entertaining show, especially with some of the stuff you've seen. One of the ones that I found really funny was when the Usos and the Bellas, which those are two different teams. The Bellas are a set of divas. You may have seen commercials before if you ever watched the E channel or anything for like Total Bellas, Total Divas, or if you watch UFC or USA, I'm sure you've probably seen commercials for that stuff before.
Is Bella who's the one that's married to John Cena?
She's not married to him yet. She's engaged to him,
right.
But Nikki Bella.
Yeah.
And Brie Bella is married to Daniel Bryan. And that's the Bella twins. And then the Usos are Rikishi's sons. And the two twins, they ended up calling each other, and they did like this twin magic game back and forth over the phone between the two teams, the two twins and everything. And it was very entertaining. And then they had one with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson teamed up, and I can't remember who the other car was right off the top of my head, but I know Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, they were very entertaining, and they had cardboard cutouts of AJ Styles and Finn Balor in the back seat. They were doing voices and all kinds of other funny shit. I mean, these guys, it really shows these guys kind of out of character and out of the wrestling element, and kind of shows how funny and how cool these guys can be. And sometimes they are kind of still in character, but a lot of times, they're not 100% in character, but it's just kind of hard to explain, but it's very entertaining. So they canceled those two shows, but they keep pushing 205 Live. They're canceling good shows. R-Truth was supposed to get another show. He's another wrestler. He was supposed to get like a game show or a cook show, or I don't remember exactly what kind of show, because it never actually they never actually filmed the first episode. They just got the green light, were getting ready to film it, and then before it even got started, they canceled it. They actually filmed a second season of the Edge and Christian show that totally reeks of awesomeness. I gotta say the whole thing. It's kind of corny, but it's what you come to expect from Edge and Christian, which I'm sure you know who those cats are. You watched it back then, and
as a kid, I used to watch it all the time. It was the coolest show ever. But I mean, it's not like it's fake or anything. I mean, you have people that say it's fake and everything, but that's not really why I stopped watching it. I don't know. It just kind of lost interest for me.
Well, see, that's one of the things that people don't understand is they want to say it's fake. It's not necessarily fake. I always want to say it's either staged or it's choreographed, because I'm going to tell you something. I got respect for these guys. I've trained for this stuff. I've actually done the training to do this stuff and everything. I've gone through the schooling, and that just gave me a whole new lookout on it, and it made me realize these guys ain't fucking around. These guys, this is hard shit. I mean, I actually went through and did it all, and it ended up, because the traveling and everything, it ended up not being for me, but it was actually, it was intense, and these guys aren't fucking around. They're athletes in there. Those guys you see out there, all due respect in the world to these guys. Some of them, I can kind of pick shit apart, now a little bit better, and I can be like, okay, well, this guy's not a very good worker. He needs to work. He needs to tighten his shit up a little bit. I can kind of pick stuff like that out a little bit better than I used to be able to, and it's just. But as far as the athleticism that these guys have to have, it's amazing, and to take these bumps and everything these guys take. You're literally beating your body up night after night doing this shit. It's not ballet. I've heard every ring announcer say it before that I used to wrestle. JBL said it a million times. There's one thing for sure, this ain't ballet. I used to hear JBL say that all the time. And it's a proven fact. This shit ain't ballet. You're not getting out there in a little tutu and you ain't dancing around like a fucking idiot. You're actually getting out there and you're performing for tens of thousands of people. And you're beating your body up for doing it. Yeah, after a while you kind of get used to it and everything, but they're starting off, man. This shit sucks, and you're hurting for a good while, and they always talk about being 100%. Well, after you get that first injury and you come back, I'm sure there's hardly anyone that ever gets back to 100% as far as that. And 90% of these wrestlers are always hurting after they get after so long on the road, and they don't get days off like you and me do. They don't get all these nice days off. They get maybe 2 days off a week, if that. But that 2 days off, they're still on the road. They don't. A lot of them times they don't have time to go see their families and stuff. These guys risk actually. They give up a lot to do this for fans and stuff.
Right. I remember back in the day when I used to watch it. Jeff Hardy, he did the Swanton Bomb on Randy Orton, and there was no way to fake that. Like, jumping from that high, onto a person, there's just no way to fake that.
Oh yeah, Jeff Hardy, some of Jeff Hardy's crazy shit. Oh, I know. Like, I'm remembering one time, which I know with camera angles and stuff, that it was they were more protected than they wanted you to believe, because camera guys suck sometimes. And not only that, but you just kind of know that if he actually jumped from that high onto this other guy, he would have killed himself plus that other guy, especially the way they land and stuff. But one that's coming to mind is Jeff Hardy climbing all the way up to Titantron, that's jumping onto Randy Orton. Mm-hmm. Now, yes, that's staged. Yes, that's planned. And no, they're not landing on the solid ground. I'm sure they had one. I'm sure you remember them from high school. Those like 6-inch thick, big like mattress pads. Yeah. I'm sure they had one of those in there. And you could kind of tell from the sound it made when, if you were to go back and watch it now that you're older and stuff, you can kind of tell by the sound they make. But even that takes a lot of fucking balls to jump from fucking 16, 20 feet in the air down onto another human being. Right. I mean, you gotta have faith and trust in each other to be able to let somebody do that to you. And I'm not even sure that he actually jumped onto him, because, like I said, they didn't even show it. Randy Orton could have been laying on the ground or whatever, and Hardy was in there. But you got to remember, it's a live show. I don't know if people could see in there or not. If people could see in there, then they're going to.
That's the thing. You got to think, like, it is a live show, so some people are sitting there watching that. They're like right there. So you would think that there's no way, that, because it wasn't like that. It was a huge space, but
right. It was just this little blocked off area, little blocked off blacked out area.
Yeah, and it's kind of hard to believe, because you can't get it. Like, you couldn't move Randy Orton, have him flip onto there and put him back. You couldn't have done that. So it just makes you question on how did they do that.
One other one I'm thinking of right off the top of my head was Jeff Hardy versus Umaga. I think this was a SmackDown street fight where Jeff Hardy climbs up on the bus and jumps down on top of Umaga. Now that one, the camera guy sucked, because when they show the camera angle and they show Jeff Hardy actually pinning Umaga for the 1, 2, 3, you can kind of catch a glimpse of the camera angle down there, and you've seen some movement before they actually showed the guys. You can kind of see some movement back there. There was actually one of those padded mats, like I was just explaining to you, like the 6-inch pads and everything, that had been pulled over, and it was sitting next to the bus. So what I'm probably figuring out is Umaga was either on the ground or something. Jeff Hardy jumped onto the mat, and then they moved that mat out of the way real quick. Jeff Hardy's ducked down, and then they went for the pin. I'm not really trying to expose the business here, but I'm just, giving my theory here, because we all know kayfabe's pretty much dead anyway. Everyone knows that. Everybody kind of knows it's staged. Everybody that watches it knows it's staged. The only people that may not really understand that are the kids. Right. But as they grow up and get older, they're going to realize this isn't, boxing. This isn't, football, and I'm not even saying that those things are 100% true real, because you never know. Football, baseball, any sport can be staged and be choreographed in a way to just make it entertaining to fans. Now saying they are, but I'm not saying that they're not. You just stuff like that, you never know.
Right.
And the only business that's really been exposed like that is the wrestling business. That is the only business that has been exposed like that. People have tried exposing baseball a little bit, but it always just kind of gets shrugged off and stuff like that.
Who did expose, the WWE?
Really, it's just a lot of different guys. Russo was one that kind of exposed it. The Rock never he protected it for a little while, and then he kind of shied away from it a little bit. He still protects it. He's always protected it to a point, though. He's never really came out and said, yeah, it's all staged or anything. But there's just been a various amount of guys that have kind of done away with the whole kayfabe thing, and you still got those older time wrestlers that are kayfabe's still everything, and then you got the guys now that they're just kind of going with the flow, and they're not really that worried about kayfabe and everything like that. So that's kind of your answer there.
Right.
But anyway, back to my point is, instead of canceling 205 Live like they should do and putting these cruiserweights on the Raw show, they keep canceling these good WWE Network shows because in keeping this 205 Live show and doing these budget cuts, because I don't know if it was Vince or somebody else in the WWE said, well, we're going to have higher payout this year and higher profits than we did last year, and they're not even halfway there now. So they did all these fucking budget cuts. I know I touched on this before. I'm touching on it again because it's still pissing me off, guys. It just really is. But nonetheless, that's kind of my thing. You should take 205 away, put these wrestlers on Raw, have that last hour split up, that you can't really fill. You have the women on there. They used to have 2 women matches on there. It looks like they're cutting it down to 1. I was okay with seeing 2 women matches per Raw. I wasn't against it, as long as they were credible matches and the women in the matches were great. Now it just seems like some weeks you get 2 now, some weeks you don't. Speaking of the women, I'm doing a nice easy transition so far tonight. Thank God. Speaking of the women, Sasha Banks. I am going to fucking talk about her right now. Because, man, this is grinding my gears also. It's pissing me off, chewing my ass, whatever. It makes me mad. It upsets me because of how good a performer Sasha Banks is. They won't let her be a top woman. They just won't let her be a top women's division. They just won't let her stay on top. Is all I can really say. Every time they give her the championship, next night they're taking the son of a bitch away from her. They have never let her have a successful WWE Women's Title defense. I'm not 100% sure if she had any successful ones in NXT, because like I told you guys before, I don't watch a lot of NXT, but I know since she's been on the main roster, she has never successfully defended the damn championship. And quite frankly, it's starting to get a little old and a little redundant, because she had all that back and forth shit with Charlotte, which I ain't knocking any of that. That shit was good. That was entertaining. But now they're doing the same shit again, only with Alexa Bliss instead of Charlotte. And I'm not that big of a fan of Alexa Bliss. I'm not. She's a great heel. She's a great talker. But she's kind of one-dimensional. She kind of needs, I don't know, she needs like a hype guy or something. Somebody coming out with her to help her out, because Alexa Bliss, she's just kind of one-dimensional. And Sasha, man, she's a woman. I'm saying Sasha is at the top of the division right now, especially for Raw. Not Tamina, but Nia Jax is also up there as well. She's got a little bit of work to do, but she's from that family. Rock's her cousin and everything. Nia Jax, she's working her way up the women's division. I just hope they don't do Nia like they did Charlotte. Or not Charlotte, but Sasha. Because every time they give Sasha the championship, the next night they're taking it away on Raw. And here's my prediction. You can almost take this some bitch to the bank right now, throw it in your goddamn deposit box, and consider it done. Because I'm pretty much guaranteeing, and if this comes back wrong, I'm going to be so fucking shocked, I will get on here and say, I'm sorry I was wrong. Because I'm almost guaranteeing that at No Mercy, you're going to, if it's Sasha versus Alexa Bliss for the women's championship at No Mercy, I can almost guarantee Sasha's going to win it. And again, and then the next night, they're probably going to have her fucking lose it again. I hope not. I would really like to see Sasha win it and keep it. But it just seems like they keep fucking toiling with Sasha. And if Sasha turns around and starts walking, I'm not going to really blame her because this is starting to get bullshit. And she has even changed her Twitter feed. I don't know if any of you guys seen this on Wrestle Talk or not. But she used to have the Sasha Banks True Legit Boss or something like that. Now all she has is her tag at WWE Sasha Banks, I think is her Twitter handle. That's all she has. She don't have any of that legit boss, baddest woman on the planet or anything like that. She just has Sasha Banks. She took away the legit box and everything because she's pissed. She's pissed they will not let her keep the championship, and I don't blame her. She is one of the hardest working women in the women's division today, and probably one of the most over and one of the most talented, and they won't let her keep the fucking championship. When she was first in Charlotte, they were very evenly matched, and I couldn't really get mad at that. But I want to say that Sasha is so well above Alexa Bliss as far as the talent goes, and so much more over, and so much more diverse and 3 or 4 dimensional that she deserves to have the championship and keep it. Yes, her having the championship, 5 times already this early in her career could be a monumental thing later on down the road. And thinking long term, that would be okay. But if that's the plan for her long term, they need to say something to her instead of just stringing her along like this. Because if they have her 5 time now, and then if she wins at No Mercy, it'd be 6 time. And then at the end of her career, if she's a 16-time women's champion, she would be the only women wrestler to tie Ric Flair and John Cena for being a 16-time champion. Obviously she wouldn't be world champion because she's a woman wrestler, but I'm just saying she would be the only woman to tie the likes of Ric Flair and John Cena to be a 16-time champion like that. So there's my little rant about Sasha Banks. Plowing ahead here. Alright. Another thing is the whole John Cena Roman Reigns thing. Not real sure how this is going to go. But me and my buddy Mac, we were talking a little bit earlier. And I was picking his brain a little bit. And I think he was kind of picking mine. And I actually decided and came to the realization of why they're having all these main event WrestleMania worthy matches at No Mercy. And that goes back to these budget cut things and back to the whole trying to get a bigger profit this year than they had last year. And basically what they're doing is they're like, okay, well, No Mercy's coming up. It's the one right after SummerSlam. We're going to throw these names at you. We're going to throw Roman Reigns versus John Cena, 2 headline guys. Hopefully, and man, I'm just hoping this match goes good and it's not a bullshit match like the first kind of Rock versus Cena was. That could have been so much better than it was. And then they're like, we're gonna throw this one at you: Braun Strowman versus Brock Lesnar. And man, these are 2 fucking WrestleMania worthy matches right here. But here's a little bit of booking. I'm gonna throw my Booker hat real quick. And not Booker T hat, my Booker hat. And for those of you that don't know, Booker is a guy that makes the matches and decides who's going over. I'm gonna throw on my Booker hat real quick here, and we're gonna book the next couple the next few World Championship matches, or Universal Championship matches. Sorry. Raw is Universal. Why they came up with that fucking name, it doesn't make any sense to me. It's like they decided, oh well, champion. We call it the WWE Universe. Here, we'll just throw that on it. Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I'm sure that's not really how the meeting went, but it sounds good to me. Anyway. So you're going to have Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman at No Mercy. I would say by some reason, to some way not to hurt either guy, maybe by way of count out, double count out or something, or even DQ, have Brock retain the championship. That way, later on down the line, you can have Braun, because I would like to see another Samoa Joe versus Brock Lesnar. I would say you have Braun lose. Then, if the next time we see Brock Lesnar, which hang on, guys. I'm going to pause it real quick. It'll be just a couple seconds for you, but hang on just a second. I gotta look. Alright, guys. Sorry about that. I know it was only a second for you, but... Alright, so what I did was I looked up the pay-per-view schedule here, and just so I can kind of get my booking right. So No Mercy.
We are just a few days away from WWE SummerSlam in Brooklyn, and it's an exciting card to talk about. I'm now joined by CBS Sports Combat Sports writer Brian Campbell. Brian, what's the one match other than the main event?
I got shit popping up on me. All right, so there was a little interesting pop-up for you guys. Don't know what the fuck that was, but all right now. So let's see. Oh, there you are, you little motherfucker. Seeing us pop up now. Alright, we got that shit closed out. I was just muting it, but now we got that shit closed out, and let's get the ball rolling again. So, July 9th was Great Balls of Fire, which looked like a cock and balls. I mean, if they would have had like 3, it would have been okay, but here, let me see if I can pull up the logo for you. But while I'm looking this up, so we had Great Balls of Fire, and now we've got let's see, it's August now. So now we got No Mercy, which is going to be a Raw pay-per-view, which going over now, which I just said Braun Strowman should lose to Brock Lesnar. Thank you. And then not necessarily lose like 1, 2, 3, but either be DQ'd or a double count out. That way, neither guy loses any credibility. One of the matches that I would like to see on Raw would be maybe a triple threat, either a triple threat or a number 1 contenders match between Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman, or a triple threat between Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman. I would really like to see, in other words, what I'm trying to say is, I would really like to see Finn Balor get back in this WWE Championship picture, and they touched on this a little bit last week. He's still fighting with Bray Wyatt, but just saying. And speaking of Great Balls of Fire, tell me what that looks like.
Looks like cock and balls.
Okay. Now see, if they would have just had like, you know, like fire, and like the flames going up or whatever, and had like 5 or whatever. But no, it's like they purposely put 2 balls next to each other and had the fire line going sideways like a streak. That does not look family friendly, does it?
No.
And then I know somebody's even asked Sasha Banks on this shit and said, "Hey, what do you think of the Great Balls of Fire logo?" And she literally came out and said, "Looks like a cock and balls." So anyway, that's kind of that's just a little bit of the humor side of the WWE and us making fun of the kind of the pay-per-views a little bit. I'm sure when Vince or whoever came up with the idea, he's like, "Well, we're really going to make this a yearly event, and it's going to be called Great Balls of Fire." And you know how Vince does, and I think this is going to be a great event. We're going to make it spectacular. That's a shitty Vince impression, but and if anybody laughs at Great Balls of Fire, you're fired. And, kind of how Vince does, but. In all reality, we love you, Vince. We're just shooting some shit right now. But back to my Booker hat. So No Mercy's Raw. Braun Strowman loses due to either count out or DQ. And then we got Hell in a Cell, which is going to be SmackDown, which is. Looks like it's going to be Randy Orton versus Jinder Mahal. Not really sure what they're doing with there. As far as the SmackDown title, it's the WWE title, but as far as the title picture from SmackDown, I ain't even getting into that because that son of a bitch is so fucked up. I'd have to do a whole podcast on how to fix this fucked up situation to begin with. So we're just gonna stick to the Raw. And then we have October 22nd to TLC is a pay-per-view, which is where you could which I'm sure they're not going to have Brock Lesnar come in for a normal pay-per-view, just a regular Raw pay-per-view like that, when we're going to have Survivor Series on November 19th. And then that's going to be booked in Houston. Which I'm sure we might see, a little cameo of maybe the HBK Shawn Michaels or something in there. Which that'd be cool for Survivor Series, don't you think? Seeing some of the local retired guys come in for like a cameo, that'd be kind of hey, we're gonna have these guys come on. Kind of a little tidbit for the people that buy the pay-per-view or pay the $9.99 a month for the network or whatever. Free plug again for you, Vince. Man, you just get all kinds of free plugs out of me, don't you? And man. Anyway, so that the TLC would be a good place to either have the triple threat between Finn Balor, Samoa Joe, and Braun Strowman to become number one contender, or you could just have Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman be, battle each other for number one contender spot. Braun Strowman goes over, so he goes back to face Brock Lesnar and faces Brock Lesnar for the championship. And then, you know what? Actually, I'm going to throw a couple ideas at you here. Braun Strowman could go over and face Brock Lesnar for the championship and actually win the championship this time. Or here's another curveball. You could actually have this match ending in a DQ or a double countout as well. And then both guys go to face Brock Lesnar in a triple threat versus Samoa Joe, Braun Strowman, Brock Lesnar, triple threat. And then, either way you look at it, you could have either Braun Strowman or Samoa Joe walk away with the championship. Brock Lesnar is now out of being champion. You have I would like to see Braun Strowman walk away from it, actually, now the more that I think about it, just because they're building him up so much and everything. So I would like to see Brock Lesnar lose the championship to Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman go on to whatever is going to be after NXT here, which it says to be announced, rumored, which not sure. That'll be on December, but have Brock Lesnar lose it to Braun Strowman. Then if they have another one between Survivor Series and Royal Rumble, which I'm sure they will. I'm sure they'll have one somewhere in December for Raw at least. And then have Samoa Joe and Brock Lesnar, or Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman face each other for the title. Samoa Joe beat Braun Strowman. So then have Samoa Joe go on to Royal Rumble to face Braun Strowman, or not Braun Strowman, but Brock Lesnar. Beat Brock Lesnar for a successful title defense. And then Brock Lesnar has now had his rematch. And then at WrestleMania, have Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the WWE Universal Championship. Or those last two, you could switch around and you could have Survivor Series, or not Survivor Series, but Royal Rumble, have Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe for the Universal Championship. Samoa Joe lose to Finn Balor, and then Finn Balor drop it to Brock Lesnar, WrestleMania, and then your next pay-per-view, which I think would be Fastlane, Payback, something like that. I think it's Payback after WrestleMania, but then you have Finn Balor actually gain it back gain it at that point after WrestleMania, and then you've got all your Brock Lesnar booking done. Just in the sense, it's just kind of a rough draft for it. I'll actually go through, guys, and get it more in depth later. But anyway, we're at the 52-minute mark of this podcast. I gave you guys the guaranteed half hour of the podcast. There's not really a lot of other stuff on my mind right now. We'll catch you guys next time. Remember, I've been forgetting to plug this in my last couple podcasts. At least at the end, I know. I might have at the beginning, but Mac, I talked to my buddy Mac, and he said he ain't been hearing it, when he's been listening to it. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make sure I plug it on this one. You can find me on YouTube at just search CJack Podcast. I'm like the first or second one that pops up. You'll see a picture of me with the podcast. You start it. You listen to me spew my bullshit on YouTube every week. That drops on Sunday at exactly at midnight. So if you get on there Saturday night, 12:01 in the a.m., you go ahead and you can search that CJack Podcast. You can download that new episode. You can stream that new episode. However the fuck you want to listen to it, you can get it at 12:01 a.m. on Sunday morning or Saturday night. However your mental clock works. I'm also on Twitter. You can tweet me on the Twitter, or tweet me on the Twitter, however you want to say it. I'd like to say you could tweet me on my twat, but I ain't got one of those, and well, we ain't gonna get into all that right now. But that's what she said to me last night. Is what I'm trying to get at. You get me, son? Anyway, we're all having fun here. You can hit me up on the Twitter. Send me any questions you might have, any thoughts, any remarks. If you have a solution for my fucking Mortal Kombat X thing, send me one. So that way, maybe I might be able to play this fucking thing before I send it back. Because if I don't have nothing by Monday, that son of a bitch is going back in the mail. That's all I got to say about that damn thing. So hit me up. You got any questions, I'll answer them live on my show. I'll even do a shout out for you, say thank you. And yeah, we're just here having fun, getting along, and doing this for the fans, and hoping you enjoy the nonsense that comes out of my mouth every week. So I want to thank you formally for being on my show, John.
No problem, bro.
And it just kind of happened that you're here with me, and I was like, I gotta do my podcast. I had so much shit going on. I gotta do it. It's a little bit late getting it out there, but or at least to get it done for me. I normally have this bitch done on either Monday night or Wednesday, but I'm doing it now on a Friday, so I'm kind of really cutting close to getting it out there for Sunday. And I got to have it up on CastBox by tomorrow morning. So I want to thank you for being on my podcast and helping me in a pinch.
No problem,
man. Yeah, you can hit me up on Twitter, only one CJack. That is my Twitter handle. YouTube, you search the YouTube link. I'm not really sure what my name is. It's just a bunch of numbers and letters. They won't let you set it like they will on Twitter. Facebook is coming soon. I'm still working on that. I got to have time to get the extra shit set up. And eventually I will have a very public email address to which I will stay on the podcast. And you can even shoot me requests to maybe be on the show, or shoot me requests if questions you might have, or anything you might want me to answer for you. I'll answer it live on the show. Anyway, that's the show, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is CJack. I'm here with my buddy John, and I'll catch your ass down the road.